G'day everyone. In this video I'll be making a push piece for this pocket watch case. The push piece is a little button that sits on the pendant there, which is held on by a screw that goes through this bow, and it's used to open the case, the front of the case. So when you push it down, the lid opens up. So I've drawn here what I think should look like, because they were both completely missing, a push piece at the top and a screw for it at the bottom, which I'll make in a separate video. So after finding a piece of brass that's the closest diameter, I just tidy it up a little bit, face it off and get it ready to work. This is actually the first time I'm using this lathe that I recently purchased. It's got a number of homemade quick change tool posts, which are really cool, and a number of cutters, which I was kind of getting used to. So after using a bit of texture to color in the bit of brass, I use my vernier to mark roughly the length of the workpiece that I'm going to be needing, and I slowly start bringing it down to the final diameter, just by taking away material bit by bit and measuring as I go. And of course it's always a case where you end up just a few mil under from when you expected, which is always a bit annoying, but I think I did okay this time around. Here I'm getting ready to set up the milling attachment. Now there's probably many different ways to make a push piece, but given that I just bought this piece of equipment, I was very excited to actually use a milling cross-slide attachment, as I've never really set one up before. So I set it up here. I locked the headstock on the lathe to just keep it in a single position, and I used a 0.6 tungsten carbide end mill on the brass. I think high-speed steel actually would have been a lot more appropriate. Unfortunately, I didn't have one on hand, so I just used a tungsten for this exercise. And the way I approached it really was trying to make small incremental cuts on the X-axis, I guess, as far as I could go with that little cutter, and just try not to break it. And at this point, when I got halfway, or approximately halfway through the material, I turned the workpiece around 180 and continued cutting to essentially meet it in the middle. Once the hole was completely cut through, I just put a different tool on the tool holder to tidy it up a little bit. Now, although I'd gotten to my final diameter before, I was essentially just trying to get off that black and also some of the burrs that were created through the milling process, so trying not to take off a lot of the overall diameter. The next step was using a different tool to start now forming the stem of the push piece, which is what's actually going to sit inside the pendant and reach the case spring to open it up. So through a bit of texturing and measuring, I determined the length and went on from there to essentially bring it down to shape roughly, and then just part it off. I then moved the work onto the Lorch Junior to tidy it up even further. I find using the hand graver a little bit easier for these sorts of things, just to tidy it up and do the final adjustments. In this part of the video, I'm focusing on that little V-piece part of the push piece. I know from experience, from having seen other ones, that it requires a bit of a V-piece to actually be able to fit in the pendant properly, so I was just forming that by eye pretty much. And once that was formed, I end-for-ended it, and now I'm working on the stem again, ensuring that it's going to be thin enough to actually fit into the pendant. And remember, I had to guess essentially the sizing on this using screwdrivers and other bits and pieces just to try and get as close as possible to the final measurement because the piece was completely missing. So after a lot of cutting and trimming bit by bit, I ended up with a piece that now fits in, and as I push it you can see the spring on the inside opens up, and when I push it all in, it springs open the front of the case. So there you have it.